Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of year. It's Wrestlemania season. Well, it's been Wrestlemania season, but it's time for Wrestlemania. That right there was a good old choke slam to Robert the Rhino because I didn't like the way he was looking at me. Anyways, this is one of the worst built Wrestlemanias I've ever seen. It's Wrestlemania, so people will get excited regardless, but the build to this Wrestlemania was absolutely atrocious. 2 nights. One of the things that they also screwed up with, announcing what's on each night. I would much rather it be a surprise. Most pay-per-views, you don't know what's happening and the match order, but for some reason they announced every match on each night. Why? There's a lot of other problems with this show. However, it could still be a good one. 2 nights, the whole weekend. Wrestlemania 37, full show preview and predictions. Go nowhere else. Wrestlemania weekend, so let's try this out. La Croix Sparkling Water Raz Cranberry. Naturally essenced. Well, we'll see about that. Wow, that is 100% not good. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'll drink it anyway, because why the fuck not? Because the can looks cool, that's all that matters. WrestleMania 37, man, wow. You know what's weird? A lot of people may not talk about it. The first person to come out to open up the show tonight is very important. And that's the way that I think, because that's the way that it is. You have not had fans for over a year. This is your first show with fans coming to the arena. Okay. I think it should be Drew McIntyre. I would not put it beyond me or put it past me to have somebody like Hulk Hogan come out, because this isn't Hulk Hogan and Titus O'Neil hosting the show, which is, people have their own opinion on that. I'm not going to get into that. I will go through the card like normal. I will preview and predict each match, the good, the bad, and the ugly as always. Not as many matches on this WrestleMania card as maybe a typical WrestleMania would have. Again, that doesn't bother me at all. I don't need 17 matches for a show to be called WrestleMania, right? We just need something special. Now, hopefully, the show delivers. Now, the funniest thing is that these are usually the type of WrestleManias that are built like crap that end up being actually very good. WrestleMania 35 was pretty good. 36 was not so good. Obviously, it was in front of absolutely no one. And, people have their opinion on that. I'm just going to give you briefly my opinion. I'm going to talk about WrestleMania. The first match I'm going to talk about is Natalya, Tamina, Naomi, BAYAN, Lana, Mandy Rose, Dana Brooke versus the Riot Squad. Tag Team Turmoil. Winners receive a title shot on night 2. Didn't this happen already? Didn't this happen on SmackDown? Or maybe, that was the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. By the way, Jey Uso won that. Good for him. It will do absolutely nothing for him. Because anybody that's ever won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal has done absolutely nothing. Not saying that they haven't done anything in WWE, but because of winning that Battle Royal, it does absolutely nothing. No title shots, no nothing, no pushes, nothing. You win the Battle Royal, you get the nice little Andre the Giant Memorial Trophy. They talk about you winning it for about a week, and then it just goes under the carpet and nobody cares. The pick here for CBS is Naomi and Lana to win. To be honest, this is the one match where I cannot give any insight, because to be honest, I hate to say it, I just don't care. I haven't cared about the women's tag team titles since Sasha Banks and Bayley dropped them, and I don't think I have a reason to care about them now. Nia and SHAYNA, you can say what you want. SHAYNA's great. She needs to be in a solo act. She doesn't need to be in a tag team. Nia needs to be in a tag team because I feel like nobody gets behind her as a solo act, and people have those reasons. But the pick here is Naomi and Lana to win. I guess I could say the same thing. I don't really care. I don't really care. I give more insight into the other matches. Raw Tag Team Championship match. The New Day versus AJ Styles and OMOS. What's weird here is that just about a week or two ago, I was thinking about this match and I said, well, AJ Styles and OMOS is going to win. But then I thought about it some more and I said that kind of doesn't make sense. Why would AJ Styles and OMOS win the titles when AJ Styles can hold his own, but is OMOS going to be a guy that's going to be a constant in-ring presence? I don't see OMOS being the guy that's going to... He's so big where it's almost not believable. I don't see, obviously Omos is the odd man out here. He plays more of the bodyguard, and he plays that role really well. So, he'll get his hits here in this match. But I don't really see the point of having Styles and Omos win the Raw Tag Team titles, because you're going to give these guys the Raw Tag Team titles, and how long do they have them for? Is Omos going to be a guy that's going to constantly be in the ring? You look at New Day. They're one of the best tag teams of all time. I don't really see the point in them losing the titles. I thought that you could have done something else. I think, and no disrespect, AJ Styles is it's no disrespect to anybody in this match, because tag teams exist for a reason. But I think that AJ Styles was worth a lot more than a tag team match at WrestleMania. He could have had a singles feud. Aleister Black, where does anybody know where Aleister Black is? That's another one. Styles and Black, you could have had very good caliber matches with AJ Styles and anyone else, and you put him with Omos, and again, we know that they've been running together, but against the New Day, it is what it is. I would go with New Day to retain as the safe pick. It wouldn't put it past me for Styles and Omos to win, but I would go with the New Day to retain their championship, because I don't see the point in Omos and AJ Styles winning, and it's more because of Omos. I don't see him being the constant in-ring threat in a tag team that somebody else may be. Had AJ Styles been paired with someone else, I said okay. One of the matches that I'm very excited for, there's a couple of singles bouts on this WrestleMania card that will probably knock your socks off if they let it go right. Seth Rollins and Cesaro. This feud was built pretty good. I will say that this is one of the bright spots on the WrestleMania card. Me personally, Seth Rollins is my favorite wrestler, and I don't think anybody could sit here and tell you that Cesaro isn't fantastic. Cesaro for years has been due a push. I don't think you're going to look at Cesaro as a world champion. A lot of people may not look at him that way, but me personally, this is one of the matches that I'm most excited for. Me personally, anytime Seth Rollins wrestles, I always want to see it, because I know that he's going to bring the best out of himself and the opponent that he goes with. And Cesaro's great on his own right. Now, watching the feud, you may get the idea that Seth Rollins would win, but I think Cesaro needs it more. I think Cesaro could be due for a big WrestleMania win. So I will go a little bit with what people might not think. I'm going to go with Cesaro to win this match, because I think that Cesaro needs it more. Seth Rollins is at a point where a loss does not hurt Seth Rollins. He's great in his own right. He has a resume. Cesaro is the one, if anything, that needs a WrestleMania moment. Give these guys the time to go and watch it be one of the best matches of WrestleMania. Definitely looking forward to it. I'll go with Cesaro to get the win over Seth Rollins. A match that I don't really seem to care about. Shane McMahon and Braun Strowman in a steel cage match. This feud was built off of Shane McMahon calling Braun stupid. That's pretty much about it. This is another one. I feel that they added this match to be a steel cage match because we said, no, we know nobody gives a shit about this match. So let's put a steel cage around it and give people a little bit more of a reason to be invested in this match. I don't care. I think everybody knows that it would, the only logical decision here would be to have Braun Strowman win. Shane McMahon is not going to have a regular wrestling match with Braun Strowman. I'm sorry. Steel cage, we know Shane McMahon's due for a big stunt. And again, that's not me being negative. I'm all for Shane doing a big stunt. At some point in his life, his body is going to get to the point where Shane McMahon is legitimately going to do a high spot where he is not going to wake up. At some point in this man's life, Shane McMahon deserves all the respect in the world for all the chances he's taken and the moments that he's created in wrestling history. Braun Strowman, on the other hand, I haven't been interested in Braun Strowman in years. Yeah, he's gotten a little bit better with his promo, but Braun Strowman is not somebody that a lot of people get behind. And again, you have your own reasons for that. You can believe what you want to believe. I'm just not invested in this match. It's a steel cage match. If there's any match on this card that I can play it back in my head, this is the one. No chance I would think that Braun Strowman would lose this match to Shane McMahon. It is what it is, you know? And that's another one of those matches where it'll come and it'll go. Talk about another one that I'm not really interested in. Bad Bunny versus The Miz. 1 month ago, The Miz was the WWE Champion. And with all due respect, now he is wrestling a singles match against Bad Bunny, who is not a wrestler, is a great music artist, but he's not a wrestler. And The Miz is fighting him. And not only that, he's going to lose. I'm going to tell you this is another match that's going to play out exactly how you would think it would. The Miz is going to fight Bad Bunny. Obviously, Bad Bunny's with Damian Priest. Morrison, of course, with The Miz. So obviously, there's going to be some kind of interference in this match. There's going to be some kind of interference. Damian Priest is going to assist, knock out Morrison, The Miz, whoever. Referee's not looking. And Bad Bunny's going to do some frog splash off the top rope or whatever he's going to call his finishing maneuver. And Bad Bunny's going to beat The Miz. And it's going to be a happy, good moment for about 2.5 minutes. Same thing with The Miz. Again, a month ago, this guy's the WWE Champion. He's the face of the company. And now he's fighting Bad Bunny at WrestleMania. Again, I've never been one of those people. I don't care about celebrity appearances. You can come in, you can perform, do a live performance. But why do you have to get a wrestling match at WrestleMania? I get the point of, from a business decision, why WWE would do it. They're doing it because they want to generate people that are interested in Bad Bunny and sports at the same time. It's, holy shit, Bad Bunny's wrestling? I gotta see this. And there's a brand new subscriber. Another match that I will not care about, because this is the type of match where, in all honesty, you could have had this on Monday Night Raw. Whatever. Let's get to the good stuff. From what we're told to be the main event of Night 1, also known as tonight, the SmackDown Women's Championship between two of the best women's wrestlers in WWE. I cared about this feud so much, and then I kind of was like, no, I don't care. This has the makings. If it's an NXT-style match, this has the makings of one of the best women's matches of the entire year. Sasha Banks, the current champion, great when she cares. A lot of people have said that to me, too. They say, you know, Sasha Banks is great, but a lot of the times it seems as if she doesn't care. She's great, but when she cares. Sasha will take on Bianca Belair, who has been rocketed to the top. All deservingly, because she's fantastic. Bianca wins the Royal Rumble. She chooses Sasha Banks. They work together as a tag team. There's turmoil. Then there's a slap. I mean, I feel like personally they could have built this feud a lot better. But this match should be fantastic. It's main eventing the first night of WrestleMania. This is Bianca's moment. Let Bianca win the SmackDown Women's Championship, because there's no other way you could do it. Have these women light it up. And that's what I think they're planning on doing, because they're main eventing tonight of WrestleMania. This is going to be a fantastic match. And to be honest, I don't like to jump conclusions, but anything less than 4 or 5 stars for these women is going to be massively disappointing. This needs to be fantastic. Bianca Belair is going to usher in as the SmackDown Women's Champion. And that's night number 1, supposedly. Oh, wait, no, there's another match. There's another match. See, CBS has it all jacked up here and all out of order. Now, this is a match. It's the last match that's on night number 1. But this could be the match that opens the show. Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre for the WWE title. Now, we will say, the only thing here that would make sense would be to have Drew McIntyre win the title back. Because the way I'm looking at it, Drew McIntyre won the world title last year at WrestleMania. Good moment. It was in front of nobody. So he held the title for months throughout 2020. Randy Orton had a little reign with it. Didn't last long. Drew had it. They gave it to Bobby Lashley. I want to say, was it early February, late January? Bobby Lashley won the title off of The Miz. And Bobby Lashley was looking really good. And he hasn't looked that bad as a world champion. Now, maybe it's not everybody's cup of tea. That's a whole different discussion. But Bobby Lashley has not looked bad. He's feuding with Drew McIntyre. I will say this. The world title match for your biggest title in the company could be a little bit better than Drew and Bobby Lashley. But it is what it is. This will most likely be WWE's way of having Drew win in front of fans and winning the championship back. Granted, the moment won't be as big as it was last year, but WWE will at least try to do it. Because again, if Drew had the title and he ended up retaining tonight, you know, when you win a championship, it's obviously a lot much more than retaining it. You retain it, you already have it. You're already the champion. But winning a championship, will always be that way. And that's what I see happening. You know, Bobby Lashley, for what it was, short, not the longest reign. He had a little bit of a carry. I don't know if that was the best decision, giving the title to Bobby Lashley, just for him to drop it a few months later. I see Drew McIntyre winning the world title back. He says here, who is this? Brookhouse. These are the two guys that review on CBS. Said that he thinks that Lashley will retain. There's nothing like a dominant heel champion. You know, to be honest with you, that's not the terrible idea, but I don't see that happening. I see Drew winning the title in front of fans, and you know, it'll be a good moment, but it's not going to be what it was last year. I'll go with Drew McIntyre to win the world title, and that's really that. So we're done with night number 1. That's funny. I'm kind of interested to see how long my WrestleMania preview lasts, because I'll tell you what, there's a lot of work that goes into WrestleMania previewing videos, because you got that could silently be a good match. We're talking about Matt Riddle versus Sheamus for the United States Championship. This is another match that could be very, very good and is maybe flying under the radar on the WrestleMania card. Matt Riddle's fantastic. And let's talk about how great Sheamus has been in the last couple of months. Sheamus has worked with a bunch of different guys, and to be honest, I think Sheamus is almost doing the type of work where he won the world title 10 years ago. I mean, let these guys go. I don't really think that Riddle will lose the championship, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a swerve and have Sheamus win the championship. To be honest with you, part of me would root for Sheamus because of how good he's been. But like I said, Matt Riddle's still a little bit fresh into his title reign, so I don't really think they're going to have him drop it yet. So to be honest with you, it's a really tough one. But I'm going to go with Matt Riddle to retain the U.S. Championship here. Let these guys go, and let's see what they can bring. Now, based off of the prediction in the earlier one, the Nia and Shayna Baszler will be defending their women's tag team championships against the winner of tonight's Gauntlet match, which CBS Sports believes to be Lana and Naomi. And they're also believing that Lana and Naomi will win the titles. Again. So what does that mean? If you have Lana and Naomi win the women's tag team championships, what does that mean for Nia and Shayna? If Nia and Shayna split, Nia's kind of fucked. She's kind of screwed. What are you going to do with her? Shayna, same thing. Well, Shayna, no, not at all. Shayna can hold her own as a singles woman. If they book Shayna right, she's fantastic, right? Naomi and Lana, I mean, I like Naomi. I'm not a Lana fan. Sorry. Haven't really been. I haven't been a fan of Lana since she was managing Rusev. So I guess if Lana and Naomi do win, I would probably pick them to win too. But what does that do? Yes, it gives them titles, but then what happens with Nia and Shayna? See, it's things like this is that there's no long-term booking. We do short-term booking. This happens, and then we say, oh shit, now what do we do? Singles match. Another one. Another singles match that everybody should be looking forward to. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. The history with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn goes back a long time. These guys have had classic matches. The chemistry between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn is 100 to none. Kevin Owens is great when you give him the time. Sami Zayn, again, has been a criminally underrated guy as a wrestler. I mean, this guy in NXT was just brilliant. He's with Logan Paul. Don't care. But he's with Logan Paul. This is Wrestlemania. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn, his type of gimmick is built around he can have a loss. Sami Zayn doesn't have to win this match. I would say I would go towards more of Kevin Owens winning the match. Now, granted, of course, he could win the match. I don't see it, though. Let these guys go. Don't have Logan Paul get... Like, why is he accompanying him to the... This is the type of shit that I don't understand. And this is the type of shit that I may never understand. Why? Who cares? Why was he on SmackDown to begin with? Oh my God. Anyways, I'll go with Kevin Owens to win. Let this be one of the best matches of the night on night 2. I mean, it doesn't say much. Night 2 is not that big. I have a question about... We have a couple more matches to talk about. I have a question about the next match. WWE comes up with these gimmick matches that are one-offs that nobody has ever heard of before. Nobody knows what the hell it is. Okay, and that's where the Intercontinental Championship is talked about. We have Big E defending his championship against Apollo Crews in a Nigerian drum fight. What the hell is a Nigerian drum fight? Does anybody know what that is? I'm sitting here and I'm like, wow. Anytime they come up with these out-of-mind gimmicks, all I think of is it's just another name for a street fight, because that's all that it is. Big E has been great as the Intercontinental Champion. They repackaged Apollo Crews. They gave him his Nigerian home gimmick. He's been doing all right with it. It's not anything that's going to catapult him to a world title, but it's not. You can't complain too much about it. And in all honesty, I would think that Apollo would win here. Yeah, and you know, Silverstein says that he expects Big E to retain. Well, I don't really think so. I think this gimmick is obviously, I'm assuming, going to be built towards Apollo's advantage. Apollo's been repackaged. Imagine doing all this to have him not win the title. So I don't see that. I see Apollo Crews winning the Intercontinental title. And that's just my opinion. And if you don't like it, oh well. The Fiend Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton. You know, they started building this feud about 7 score and 14 years ago. And the thing is with this feud, is that it was good, and then it ran its course. The build became little to none, and Alexa Bliss became the main act of the feud. Okay. Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. I would say if there's any match that I would put betting odds on, it would be the Fiend to win this match. Could you imagine Bray Wyatt coming back and losing clean to Randy Orton? Bray Wyatt was taken out, set on fire by Randy Orton in December. The feud started building between Randy Orton and Alexa Bliss. And then we knew at Fastlane, when Randy Orton was fighting Alexa Bliss, it wasn't going to be a wrestling match. That they were going to wrestle, and the Fiend was going to get involved. And, you know, the Fiend came out from under the ring, and he had his look, right? I will say that I think that at first I was like, what the fuck? And then I was like, all right. The Fiend looked a lot better with his repackaged gimmick than I thought he was going to look. Okay. 150,000 million gajillion % chance the Fiend Bray Wyatt wins this match. I think that Bray Wyatt has lost so much. He's not what he was. It would make 0 sense to have Randy Orton win this match. So the Fiend will win. And yada yada. 2 more matches to go over, folks. Here comes another match that could be very good if they let them go. The Raw Women's Championship match between Asuka and Rhea Ripley. How long has Asuka had this Raw Women's title? They catapult Rhea Ripley to the Raw roster. They start giving her some adrenaline, some energy. Asuka really hasn't had much competition in her title reign. Rhea Ripley is that competition. They built her strong. They built her good. Asuka does not need the championship. I think you have Rhea Ripley win the Raw Women's title. And I think you have her do it in Night 2 of WrestleMania. Not much else to be said about that. It'll obviously set up, I'm sure, a future program with... it'll set up a future program with... whatchamacallit? Charlotte Flair. Seems like it's that time to talk about the main event of the evening. The main event of WrestleMania. The best booked match, by far, centered around Edge's return. This is a triple threat match for the Universal Championship between the champion Roman Reigns, Edge, and Daniel Bryan. You know, when this first started, everybody was saying Roman Reigns versus Edge. And then people began to realize that Daniel Bryan made a lot of sense to be in this feud. It takes pressure off of Edge to have a great match at this stage in his career. This match will probably be fantastic if they do it right. The promos between all of these men have been brilliant. This match has been built fantastic. And here comes the kicker. All of this, all the speculation, all of the marbles, who would come out with the Universal Championship? Roman Reigns has the championship. I think a lot of us thought a little while ago there's no way in hell he's losing this title anytime soon. But now you incorporate a triple threat match where Roman Reigns doesn't really have to lose the title. He loses the title, but he doesn't eat the pinfall, so it makes Roman Reigns still look good. Edge. I don't see the point of Edge winning a championship. You have him involved in major programs. You have him involved. Have him look good tomorrow night. But by Edge winning the Universal Championship, is this a guy that could really wrestle on weekly television? Yeah, he had the match on SmackDown. But can Edge really... And listen, Edge looks great. But can Edge be a full-time performer as a champion? The answer to me is no. That's just me. The answer is no. Then we get to Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan's going to be my pick. And here's why. Roman Reigns retaining pretty much means nothing. I don't really see the point in that. You built all of this, you know, and you set it up for a triple threat match. If there's any time Roman Reigns is going to lose this championship, because in all honesty, if WWE wanted to, they could have him have the title for the next 7 years. It would be this match. If we're talking about Edge of 10 years ago, I would go with Edge. The match will probably result in Daniel Bryan pinning Edge to win the Universal title. I think Daniel Bryan wins. Again, Daniel Bryan's also at a later stage of his career, but he can still go. Edge is at a late stage in his career. Like, Edge is just... Edge comes off as, I'm hungry, I want another run, but I'm also happy to be here. Because he knows that he's not a ticking time bomb, but he's at a point where Edge is just, you know, after all the surgeries and everything that he went through, he's grateful to be there. The match in the Royal Rumble was fantastic, but could you imagine Edge doing something like that night in and night out? And it's not because Edge isn't capable. It's because of Father Time. I'll go with Daniel Bryan to win the Universal Championship, because I think that would make the most sense. CBS says it's not going to happen from a heel Edge winning, and while Reigns retaining would be white-hot heat, that's not the feeling WWE wants fans to remember. You want a big WrestleMania moment to end WrestleMania. Roman Reigns retaining would be like, hey, it's heat, but it's like, fuck. We actually wanted the guy to lose the title. And what could be his last WrestleMania as a full-time performer, Bryan, who's likely should come out. But I will go with Daniel Bryan to win the Universal title. And I will also go and say that this video is long as hell. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been the WrestleMania preview and predictions. You sat, you watched, and maybe you liked it. Enjoy the show.